here we are, finishing touches with Carl and his character. So Carl, recap for us, what's your race, your class, and your background?
All right, so my name is Ralof Half-Beard. I am a bard, tiefling, and I'm an acolyte. I believe in God and all that stuff.
Okay, excellent. So we got a little farther with you during character making. A lot of your stuff is done. You already picked out all your proficiencies. We went through the basics. What we need to do is kind of just finishing touches at this point. So as an acolyte, you have insight and religion, and you have those down under your proficiencies, right? Insight and religion.
Yes, I do have those.
And you get 2 additional languages. And I think you picked
Orc and Dwarvish.
Orc and Dwarvish,
That's
great.
right.
So additionally, you get some items, some equipment. So in this middle column, you're going to fill in these small blanks, okay? And you're going to have a lot of crap because you're a bard and you get this stuff. So write accordingly. So the first thing is a holy symbol. Go ahead and write that down.
In this little box? Or
No,
just...
in these lines.
Oh,
the little boxes are money, so we'll get to that in a
So
minute.
what's it called, a holy box?
A holy symbol.
That was close.
And that is based on, you know, whatever god or pantheon of gods that, you know, was at the temple where you, you know, spent time studying, whatever you believe in deity-wise, it would be a holy symbol of that. And we'll flesh that out off camera in a minute. But you also get a prayer book.
Okay, lovely. That's just the Bible?
Yep. Well, 5 sticks of incense.
5. Good.
Vestments, so the, you know, the holy man cloak kind of thing.
Cool.
A set of common clothes.
Right.
And then the last thing is 15 gold pieces. So you see there, like, very faintly, it's written next to each thing. CP,
GP?
SP, GP is gold pieces. Go
Okay.
ahead and write 15 in there.
Cool.
And then did I tell you to write down Shelter of the Faithful over here?
I don't think you did.
Okay, so write down Shelter of the Faithful. And that is basically, as an acolyte, the people who share your faith and respect for the god or gods that you worship, they appreciate you. You could go to them for help. This could be at temples or shrines, but it could also just be like if you find somebody who shares your faith. And basically they will try to help you, whether it's like giving you, you know, food and water or a place to stay, or if you're on the run from someone, they would literally shelter you. You know, so that kind of stuff. It's pretty advantageous. Now let's go back to Bard, make sure we're all fleshed out with that, because as a Bard, you also get some basic equipment too that comes with your package. So we need to talk about weapons, we need to talk about armor, we need to talk about your 3 musical instruments. Did you choose?
I did.
What did you choose?
We chose a guitar, bagpipes, and a flute.
Okay. Now that doesn't mean, that means you're proficient with those.
I don't have those, though.
Doesn't mean you necessarily have them. So I'm going to let you pick one of those instruments to start with that you would actually have carrying with you.
I want to use the flute.
Okay, go ahead and write that in. Now we're also going to get to weapons and stuff, but I'm going to give you 2 options here. So there's before we get to weapons, there's you get a diplomat pack or an entertainer's pack, and you're probably like, what are those packs?
That's what I was thinking.
And off the top of my head, I don't know, so I'm going to look it up because, yeah. Packs, equipment packs. They're in here somewhere. There we go. So a diplomat's pack would be like a chest, 2 cases for maps and scrolls, a set of fine clothes, a bottle of ink, an ink pen, a lamp, 2 flasks of oil, 5 sheets of paper, a vial of perfume, sealing wax, and soap. Yeah. What was the other? Oh, an entertainer's pack, a backpack, bedroll, 2 costumes, 5 candles, 5 days of rations, a water skin, and a disguise kit.
That one.
Entertainer's pack. Write that down.
And the equipment?
Yeah. And you know what? When you're done writing that down, on the back side of your sheet, write all the crap down that I'm going to list off. I don't have a 2-page character sheet, so you could write it under your guy. Okay, so one more time. Backpack, bedroll, 2 costumes, 5 candles, 5 days of rations, a water skin, and a disguise kit. That makes a lot more sense to me as a bard, you know. Plus, you're also a tiefling, so maybe there's times where you just don't want people to know that you're a tiefling, so you kind of like rig up a disguise. I don't know.
That's right.
You can use that however you will. Okay, so now we're talking about armor. So bards are only proficient with light armor, which means leather armor. So write down leather armor under your stuff. Do you have that already?
No, but
Okay,
right.
go ahead and write it down. And the way leather armor works is it gives you an armor class of 11 plus your dex. What's your dex bonus?
We're at +2.
2. So you're going to have a total of 13. So under AC, armor class, write down 13.
All right.
Okay. Now, Carl, we get to weapons. What's better, your strength or dexterity?
My dexterity is 15. My strength is 8.
Okay, so you're not strong.
No, I'm not.
You have an incredible personality, though.
Thank you.
But in combat, you're not going to want to lean on, on that.
Charisma,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're going to kind of need to think about a weapon that's light or has the finesse attributes, so that you can leverage your dexterity in combat when you need to. Now, Carl, that could be a short bow, so you could just be in the back firing arrows to avoid getting hit by things.
All right.
Or if you wanted to get into the mix, you'd want to choose a finesse melee weapon,
Kinda
like
want
a
a
short sword, a scimitar.
I want a scimitar.
A rapier.
Wait, which one's is rapier the?
A rapier's like a fencing
I
weapon.
want one of those.
It's more piercing.
Yeah.
A short sword's just a short slashing sword. A scimitar is like a short sword but with a curved blade. So what do you imagine the style of your tiefling? What kind of weapon do you see him
How many
wielding?
swords? I have 2 hands, right? Could I hold 2 swords?
You do, and you can attack with 2 weapons. It is possible to do that. What I will explain to you, though, is that when you're attacking with 2 weapons, your offhand is going to be, you're not going to get as much damage in.
All right.
So you don't get a damage bonus with that second attack. You could do it, but it's not going to be as strong as your primary weapon. Now, there are ways to get that through different feats or class selections, where 2-handed fighting is something that's an option.
Sure.
Even multi-classing down the line and picking up some fighter skills, those are options. But just in terms of, because dex is your favored thing and strength is definitely your dump stat, you're going to want to choose one of the finesse weapons. So again, short sword, scimitar, rapier, daggers.
Rapier.
Rapier.
Yeah.
Okay. So under here, write down rapier
In the.
in one of
Tax-
those
okay.
lines. And now we're going to calculate your to-hit bonus. So if you have a rapier, you're going to use your dex bonus, right, which is
2.
+2, plus your proficiency bonus. So
4.
it's +4 to hit. And the damage next to that is going to be 1d8 plus 2.
Okay.
Okay? That's your rapier. Now, did you want a secondary
Yeah,
weapon?
I'd like 2 rapiers.
Okay. Well, then what you're going to do is under your equipment write down 2 rapiers.
2
Yeah.
rapiers.
And then the only difference is that your offhand rapier is not going to get that +2.
All right.
Okay.
Should I write that up here as well?
You could write it down underneath it. Yeah. So I don't know. Are you left or right-handed?
I'm a lefty.
This character, I mean.
I'm a lefty.
Okay. So your offhand is going to be the same factors, but without that +2 to damage.
Okay, so is it +2
Yep.
instead of +4?
Yep. All
Okay.
that stuff's the same.
Cool.
Okay, so 2 rapiers. Now, one thing we didn't get to, I believe, is your spells. Do we have your cantrips or spells written down yet?
No, we do not.
Okay. So, level 1 bards have spell casting. They have 2 cantrips, and cantrips are spells that do not take up spell slots. They're like minor spells that are effective, but they're spells you can cast every round. You don't need to rest to use them, right? Your spells, level spells, actually you can cast them, but then once you cast them, they're kind of gone. You have slots.
Okay.
So when you're out of slots, you have to recuperate those slots through resting. Okay. So let's deal with your cantrips first. I'm going to flip open to the bard spells, and then that way we can kind of take a look at the options and go through those. So bards have a bunch of different cantrips. I'm going to read them to you, and without you knowing what they are, I just want you to tell me just intuitively what sounds cool. Blade Ward, Dancing Lights, Friends, Light, Mage Hand, Mending, Message, Minor Illusion, Prestidigitation, True Strike, or Vicious Mockery.
Wow.
Just by the titles of those, what comes to mind? What do you think is interesting to you?
Prestidigitation.
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 It took me 30 years of my life to say that correctly, and I still am not sure if I actually say it correctly, Carl. So I'm going to start backwards and read you Vicious Mockery first.
Okay.
So Vicious Mockery is an enchantment cantrip that you can cast one action. It has a range of 60 feet, so it can affect anyone within your range. You unleash a string of insults laced with subtle enchantments at a creature you can see within range. If the target can hear you, it must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or take 1d4 psychic damage, and it has disadvantage on the next attack roll it makes. So it's magical mockery. You talk
cool.
shit about someone, and if they fail their saving throw, they take psychic damage, and they have disadvantage to attack anyone.
Okay. Cool.
So disadvantage means instead of rolling 1 20-sided dice to hit, they roll 2, and they take the lower of the 2.
Okay. Cool.
So it's kind of a cool, handy thing that bards can do, and only bards. This is a bard cantrip.
That's nice.
It's unique to bards. So it kind of laces your bard and your charisma component together to affect an opponent. And it could possibly save one of your party members. Like if someone's up fighting a monster, you can vicious mockery that monster. If they fail their wisdom saving throw, they have disadvantage to attack your party member.
Cool.
That might be one to consider. I will read you Prestidigitation, just because you mentioned that you were interested in it, and you can choose whether you use it. And really, I mean, there are people who will say like, oh, there's some cantrips that are mandatory. You must take them because they're amazing. I don't want you to feel like you have to take anything, but here's Prestidigitation. The spell is a minor magical trick that novice spellcasters use for practice. You create one of the following magical effects. You can create an instantaneous harmless sensory effect, such as a shower of sparks, a puff of wind, faint musical notes, or an odd odor. You can instantaneously light or snuff out a candle, or a torch, or a small campfire. You instantaneously clean or soil an object no larger than 1 cubic foot. You can chill, warm, or flavor up to 1 cubic foot of non-living material for 1 hour. You can make a color, a small mark, or a symbol appear on an object or a surface for 1 hour. You create a non-magical trinket or an illusory image that can fit in your hand that lasts until the end of your next turn. If you cast this spell multiple times, you can have up to 3 of its non-instantaneous effects active at a time. And then you can dismiss it whenever you're done.
All right.
It's kind of a parlor tricks, okay?
That's nice.
Blade Ward, I'm going to read you that one.
Okay.
Now, Carl, are you really feeling strong about anything so far?
I like the mockery one.
Okay.
That's fun.
Blade Ward, you extend your hand and trace a sigil of warding in the air. Until the end of your next turn, you have resistance against bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage dealt by weapon attacks. Now, for somebody who is relatively squishy, Carl, because you have a low AC
That's right.
and not a lot of hit points, Blade Ward could be a crucial self-defense thing. And it's pretty much the best self-defense thing that a bard has.
Let's just do it.
It's not perfect because, in a sense, like it protects you against weapons that are bludgeoning you, piercing you, or slashing you. If somebody cast a fireball against you, that's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
But it has a lot of value against what I would call normal weapons. So you want to start off with maybe Blade Ward and Vicious Mockery?
It sounds perfect.
All right. So you're kind of running out of room on your sheet. So flip to the back and write down like a column for cantrips.
Cantrips. Okay.
Blade Ward and Vicious Mockery. Okay, so
Cool.
we'll get into the mechanics of how that actually works while we're playing the game. But basically, Blade Ward is defensive. Vicious Mockery is kind of offensive, but it also can protect people. Now, as a bard, you're going to know a bunch of spells, but you're only going to have 2 slots per day, let's say. 2 slots basically for each rest.
Right.
The bard gets 4 spells that they know, but 2 slots. Okay, so we're going to pick out the spells you know, and then you're going to have 2 slots to cast.
Okay.
So, Animal Friendship, Bane, Charm Person, Comprehend Language, Cure Wounds, Detect Magic, Disguise Self, Dissonant Whispers, Fairy Fire, Featherfall, Healing Word, Heroism, Identify, Illusionary Script, Long Strider, Silent Image, Sleep, Speak with Animals, Tasha's Hideous Laughter, Thunderwave, and Unseen Servant.
What was Tasha's Hideous Laughter?
I know, it has a great name, right?
Yeah.
It might be cool. I'll read it to you, and you can decide for yourself. Tasha's Hideous Laughter has a range of 30 feet. A creature of your choice that you can see within range perceives everything as hilariously funny and falls into fits of laughter if this spell affects it. The target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or they fall prone, becoming incapacitated and unable to stand up for the duration of the spell. A creature with an intelligence score of 4 or less isn't affected. At the end of each of its turn, each time it takes damage, the target can make another wisdom saving throw. The target has advantage on the saving throw if it's triggered by damage. On a success, the spell ends. So you could hold this person on the ground in a fit of laughter for up to a minute.
That sounds fun.
It's a kind of a cool thing if you have a monster who could potentially wipe out your party and you just need to like stall. It's a great spell to like pin down a monster, right?
Yeah.
But remember, if you're stalling it and you pin it down and it's laughing uncontrollably and then your buddies run up to attack it, every attack it takes, they get a chance to resist your effect, and they could potentially break out of it and attack again.
Okay.
So it's cool. Let's consider it as like one of the potentials. I'm going to say this. Cure Wounds and Healing Word are spells that you might want to have in your 4
I would like those both.
because
I'm
you can never not have enough spell casting and healers in a party, right?
Right.
So under your, let's write a column for spells, and let's
Spells.
write Cure Wounds, Healing Word, and you get to pick 2 more. So you do
Yeah, I like that laughter one.
Tasha's.
Yeah, that sounds
So
fun.
Tasha's Hideous Laughter, and then you get 1 more after that. And the great thing is that you'll get more spells known as you go up in level, but first level bards have a lot of great spells. So some that a lot of people find typically useful. Charm Person. You could charm someone,
I'm already so
but you're so damn
charismatic
charming
and
already.
funny and
right.
cool.
And you know what, Carl? That is a valid point. Disguise Self. It basically allows you to do like a faceless men thing from Game of Thrones, where you could like turn around and look totally different.
I got costumes though. And
You have some
disguise
costumes,
kits,
that's
you know?
true. You have a
Yeah.
disguise kit, that's true. This is magical. So a disguise kit, like you'd have to take like 20 minutes to like put all your crap on.
That's all right.
Whereas this is like blink, you look like a human.
That's fair.
Something to consider. Fairy Fire. Now, when I was growing up playing D&D, I didn't really think about this spell because it had a silly name. But holy crap, is it powerful. Let me describe why.
Yes, sir.
It's a very beneficial thing. It's not so much an attack, but as a general thing that helps your whole party against a bunch of opponents. Each object in a 20-foot cube within range is outlined in a blue, green, or violet light, your choice. Any creature in the area when the spell is cast is also outlined in light if it fails a dexterity saving throw. For the duration, objects and affected creatures shed dim light in a 10-foot radius. So you're like, oh, okay, so I can make an outline happen?
Whatever.
Any attack roll against an affected creature has advantage if the attacker can see it. So what this means is like, say you're fighting 3 goblins and you go boom and you pick out this area and the 3 goblins are now outlined. All of your buddies get advantage to attack the goblins if they fail their roll. So like that means instead of rolling 1d20 to see if they hit, they roll 2d20 and they take the higher of the 2.
Oh,
So it's an awesome buff. Like if
sounds
you're
nice.
fighting a group of people who are hard to hit, you just gave advantage to your whole party to attack them and yourself. You could sit in the back and just, shoot arrows or throw things, whatever. So that's another thing that you can consider. Featherfall is valuable. If you're falling, it basically slows your fall so you don't take incredible
sounds like
amounts of
something
damage.
I do.
Sleep is another immensely helpful spell. So basically you cast sleep in an area and you roll a bunch of dice, and that amount of dice determines the total number of hit points that your opponents are that fall asleep, right? So you roll 5d8. The total is how many hit points of creatures in your area of effect it can affect. Creatures within 20 feet of the point you choose, basically in ascending order, fall asleep immediately.
Cool.
So again, it's kind of an area effect spell. If you need to take out a bunch of people, that are coming to attack you, you could sleep them. You don't kill them, so they're sleeped. Your group can get away or do whatever they have to do. Say you want to sneak past 2 guards, sleep.
Yeah.
Now they're asleep, you can sneak past. So
cool.
it's an opportunity to basically kind of defeat opponents without killing them necessarily, or defeat multiple opponents in a way that your other spells can't. Again, very valuable. Thunderwave is another area attack spell. It's kind of one of those big hitters where you can attack a group of people and do a bigger impact. So it's like a 15-foot cube. Everybody in that area makes a Constitution saving throw. If they fail their save, they take 2d8 thunder damage, and they're pushed 10 feet away from you. So it's like Thunderwave, you know, and they get blasted, and they take damage, and they get pushed away from you. So it's another kind of helpful spell. So what are those, you know, any of those jump out as being kind of cool?
Featherfall.
Featherfall?
know
Let
if-
me read Featherfall to you, just so you
Feel
know.
like something's gonna happen to me.
It could be helpful. You know, some people would be like, Carl, no, don't do that. But I think they're really, you can't go wrong. Like, there's always going to be some use for a cantrip or some spell. Like, even the ones that are, you know, sort of lame by many people's standards. So, here's Featherfall. First of all, it's a reaction casting.
Okay.
So let's say you hit a trap and you fall. Or you're on a bridge, somebody cuts the rope, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a reaction. So you don't have to wait to use a whole
Just
round.
happens.
It's literally like, boom, Featherfall.
Cool.
As long as you have a spell slot for it, you can Featherfall. Which you can take when you were a creature within 60 feet falls. Oh, and that's the other thing. You can cast it on someone else. So let's say you haven't crossed the bridge, but Heather's crossing the bridge gets cut, she falls, you can Featherfall her.
That's perfect, yeah.
Okay, 60-foot range. Choose up to 5 falling creatures within range.
The
So
whole
it's
party
the whole group. Yeah,
could-
let's hold hands and jump off the cliff, right?
As a family.
A falling creature's rate of descent slows to 60 feet per round until the spell ends. If a creature lands before the spell ends, it takes no falling damage and can land on its feet, and the spell ends for that creature. So, and the spell lasts a minute.
It's
So
the best one.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm
so
gonna
let's
write
go
that
ahead and
down.
write that down. So that's your four spells that you know.
Mm-hmm.
And again, as a bard, you will increase spell slots down the line.
Cool.
All right, Carl, you're pretty much finished. Any questions?
No.
Okay,
Not at
cool.
all.
Well, then the next time we see you, Carl, will be at the table for episode 1 of season 2 D&D with high school students.